Hey guys and gals, you're here with Mark on Perfect Gardens TV. So I got another great question from one of my VIP growers. How much is too much trimming? I think this is a great conversation, and I'm going to definitely start this off by saying opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. This is just my opinion, and I'm going to tell you where it comes from. It comes from not being a slave to your grower, right? I've lived the entire cycle of this industry of where you literally cut your life off from friends, family, and everything, especially as your operations get bigger. Your entire life is completely consumed by the operation, right? And the entire business model. So for me, desperate to get some of my life back and want to spend time with friends and loved ones, and realizing that the more years I was in these intense environments, the lonelier I got. And so I would try to figure out things like, what did I actually have to do to bring in a crop? That was always in my mind, and produce high quality. Through this process, I began to realize that trimming was one of those things that was incredibly time consuming. So for outdoor plants, just to make it easy to answer the question, let those plants do their thing. You might want to clean off some of the vegetation that's touching the soil, because you're going to want airflow. You're going to want a few things like that so that the rest of the plant produces healthily. So there's a good chance that for outdoor crops, you're going to want to clean up the foliage that's actually touching the soil. And that's going to be only at a certain size, right? You have to realize that the bigger your operation gets, the less time you're going to have to be able to do these boutique things. And you'll end up using other means to control the problems. So let's just be clear with that. But for manageable operations, for outdoor operations, when we're talking about maybe under 20 plants outdoors, you're going to want to clean up the foliage. And obviously, if you have employees and stuff like that, let's say 20 to 25 plants per employee, you're going to still want to kind of clean up the bottom foliage. It'll be worth the time, while if you're paying these people or you're doing it yourself, to clean this up so that it preserves everything that it produces up top. I wouldn't trim any more after that. As I'm walking through my crop, if I see a yellow leaf, or if I see some type of a deficiency or something along those lines, for outdoor crops, those leaves will shrivel up. Let the plant cannibalize the leaf and pull it away. If the leaf starts to turn brown, though, like a furry brown, or it starts to look slightly moldy, yes, I would definitely remove that, right? I'd spend the time to remove those things. But if it's just shriveling up and drying out and falling off, let it do that. I'm not going to waste my time, because for outdoor crops, if you have the right environment, they're going to produce. If you have environments that are higher in humidity, then grow less plants and spend a little bit more time preserving those plants, right? So we're talking about outdoor, we're talking about trimming, we're talking about humidity, we're talking about these various environments that could shift the need to trim a little bit more, a little bit less. And also we're talking about the number of plants you're growing and what's actually practical for the operation, because the larger the industry gets, the demand to produce the product is less expensive. So the more time that goes into producing this product, you'll just be losing more money, basically, or make your product unsellable, because what you're going to have to do to sell it is, it's going to cost you more money. If you go into indoor growing, same concept or mindset applies as if you were growing outdoors as well. Like number of plants, how many people are in your operation, things along those lines. Is the leaf touching the soil? Is it getting wet more often? Airflow? All those things also apply with the same mindset, right? For a smaller grower, if you are implementing other techniques to expand your canopy size, trellis nets, you're training your plants, you're tying them down, you're not allowing your plants to grow high, you're using multi-harvest techniques, things along those lines, I would then go into the mindset of allowing the plant to get to a certain height, and you've heard me talk about this a lot throughout the channel, and then trim everything below that, and then work from that point with a canopy level. As those branches get taller and longer, you're manipulating them, you're weaving them in and out of that first layer of your trellis net. And then normally you're going to have 2 levels of trellis nets. And then at some point, because you fanned it all out, those new growing tips, instead of them growing like at a 45 vertical, they're now growing at a 90 degree straight up, right? And Now they're totally exposed to light, so they're all growing straight up. And then you take those branches that then grow lateral from there, and you begin to manipulate them and weave them throughout your trellis net, right? But through this entire experience, you allowed your plant to at least get up to that first 8-9 inches before you started heavily trimming. You might take a leaf off here, a leaf off there, but you're allowing the plant to grow, because you got to remember, every time you take off this foliage, the plant then has to go to produce more foliage, more solar panels. So you're not going to want to be removing its solar panels on a daily basis. You're going to have a psychological thought process through systematic growing of your operation over a period of time, measuring the outcomes, visual observations, things along those lines, to identify whether the action you're taking is causing more stress or is it causing a positive outcome you're looking for. All these conversations, literally, guys, they are $1,000 conversations. There are $10,000 conversations, because as operations get bigger, you normally have a disconnection from the growing and the board of directors or the executives in the company making money decisions. And so a lot of times you have to have an intermediate that speaks both languages to be able to go in there and explain why something is needed or why something is not needed, to be able to justify the cost of that action within the operation. As a small grower, we don't manage these things. As you get bigger in operations, whether you're in the black market or the white, having these conversations and discussing what's absolutely necessary and important versus just allowing the grower to do something because he thinks it's best. The grower has to be able to listen to the board of directors so that he understands the need to grow this plant at a certain cost, to be able to sell it so that they can stay in operations and pay employees. As a smaller grower, you have to be able to justify to your wife and your family and to yourself why you're doing what you're doing, because the more time you spend with these plants, if you have a family, the more disconnected you are going to be from your family, right? And that also has its own effects. So it doesn't matter whether you're board of directors in corporation or your small mom and pop grower. What the big topic of what we're discussing right now is time, efficiencies, what's absolutely needed to be able to produce the healthiest medicine at the most inexpensive cost to your life, or in a corporation, the bottom line, money.